We have the pleasure of being with two wonderful families. I'd like to introduce Mrs. Vera Lewis Spinks and her daughter, Kylie, and also Mrs. Mattisa Moorer and her daughter, Kerstin. And I hope I said that correct. And today we're going to be talking about the Alabama Special Needs Parent Support Group and the impact and importance of families helping families. And at this time, I'd like to hand it back over. Mrs. Spinks, if you and your daughter would introduce yourselves.
Hi, good morning, almost afternoon, everyone. So I'll first introduce, you want to go first? Do you want help? Okay. This is Kylie. Kylie is just weeks away from being 19 years old. And my name is Vera, as Alex said, and we live in Wilcox County, Alabama. So rural Alabama. She is actually a twin to her twin sister. Yep, she just said it, Adlin. And she has a baby brother. He's not so baby anymore, is he? But always baby brother, who's 6 years old, and his name is Zan. And Kylie, Kylie and Adlin were born premature. They were born at 26 weeks, and Kylie has complex medical needs due to her prematurity. So it's a list, but we'll just name a few: cerebral palsy, hydrocephalus. She has a feeding tube. She has seizure disorder, but you love to dance, right? And you like music and you really want a job, but dang, COVID has really messed up a lot of that stuff, right? Yeah. So
it's been crazy navigating.
A little bit about us. Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to hand it over. Mrs. Moore, if you would introduce your family as well.
Okay, yes, I'm Mattisa. This is my daughter, Kerstin. Vera and I like to say that her and Kylie are twins because they are both weeks away from turning 19. Kerstin's birthday is December 17th. We live in Lowndes County, rural Alabama, not too far from Vera. Hope to meet up with them one day and hang out soon. Kerstin is also diagnosed with cerebral palsy. She has a seizure disorder, epilepsy. Kerstin liked to shop at Target and hang out and go to the movies, but like Vera said, all that has been postponed a little because of COVID. But we just enjoy life, enjoy hanging out. We both work with Family Voices of Alabama. We met a few years ago at a Alabama Angels event, just kind of hanging out there at the pageant, and walked up to Vera's table and started talking. And we've been friends since then, not knowing that we would be on similar journeys with our girls, but we were put together for a reason, and I'm thankful for that. So just looking forward to chatting with you all today.
Yeah, I'm blessed that you guys had the opportunity to meet as well. It's kind of hard to meet people right now, especially with this COVID. There's no conferences going on. There's really no programs. So it's tough. And, grateful we're able to do this over Zoom today. If you wouldn't mind, let's take a step back. Let's talk about the Alabama Special Needs Parent Support Group. And what was the idea behind that and kind of your guys' journey in that? And we'll go in the same order. Mrs. Spinks, if you would start, and then we'll go Mrs. Moore.
So mine will start just a little bit before the page was started. And it came, of course, we both work for Family Voices of Alabama, which is our family-to-family health information center, providing support and resources to families and the professionals that serve them with individuals with disabilities. And so as Mattisa already mentioned, we may work together, but we were friends long before, we became co-workers, and we are always working together. But especially in times when we see that there's not only a need that we're having as families, because if we're having it as a parent, then there are going to be other parents that are having the same issue. And it came during COVID. And I remember finding out that there was a shortage of feeding bags, and Mattisa was affected by this, where she was not getting feeding bags for her daughter, for Kerstin. nutrition. She needs it. And so, so we realized during that time that if we're sitting here brainstorming, how can we meet our needs? How can we reuse? How can we make videos to share, that there are other people that are needing to connect during this time of quarantine? And so I'm going to flip it now to Mattisa, who did the next step.
Okay, yeah. That day, I remember it clearly. It was March 18th. Vera and I were texting about meds, and she was telling me that she had heard about there maybe albuterol shortages, and she was like, get Kirsten's albuterol filled. And so I was telling her that I had called to order her medical supplies, and they were saying that the feeding bags would be short, and we would probably have to reuse for a while. But my sister overheard me texting with Vera, and I was telling her that the feeding bags were short. So she was like, I'm going to see, can I find some? So one of my sisters ordered Kerstin a box of the bags at $150 and had them sent to my house. And I was like, there's no way I could afford that, you know, just to buy them to keep going. So, but I was thankful that she ordered those and had them sent to the house. And I told Vera, I was like, you know, I know we're not the only ones, you know, experiencing shortages on meds, the bags, or even some other medical supplies. So I was like, I'm going to start a Facebook group, and I'll make you an admin. I said, and we can just add some of the parents we've met at conferences and some of our friends, and just build from there. And so we can have a space to talk and see who's experiencing shortages. And that blossomed. The group just started growing, and people started coming in and sharing that they had supplies, and if you needed some, we can meet here and we can exchange, no charge. And some was like, you know, I have equipment that I can share with other families. So it just kind of built from there, from us texting March 18th at 12 o'clock. I told Vera, I was like, I'm going to start this Facebook group so we can talk with other families in the state that we may have met while we've been working with Family Voices. So
I think that's amazing. I've heard a lot in the past about kind of the state and admin saying we need to come together as a community. You can't always go and say, you know, these are the problems. We need more money for these things. We need to also come together as a community. And the way that you guys come together, and you said exchange resources there, you guys set this page up March 18th. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen so that everybody watching can see it. Let me hopefully this goes here. Can you guys see that? Yes. Okay. So this is the Facebook page that these ladies put together. And I have to say, since March 18th, it has exploded. The amount of people on here that are helping, that are getting together, that are offering, you know, ideas or, you know, resources. I saw on here the other day, it was like, you know, we have this chair. Could anybody use it? Or does anybody have this type of resource? And you look at the comments, the community is so engaged in a lot of these posts. You know, here's a chair and a bed, and right under here, we have great example of families coming together to help out. So anybody that's watching, I would really recommend searching Facebook for the Alabama Special Needs Parent Support Group and following this page, getting involved in this community. You have two people that are admins that know exactly what you're going through. And I think that's a really big thing there, is that personal experience. I would like to ask, why Facebook? Why not YouTube or some other platform?
Well, I think we utilize, even though our main platform for the group is Facebook, we utilize many other platforms by sharing, where, like, Mattisa is an admin on our Family Voices of Alabama, Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, and Kylie and I have a YouTube channel where one of those things was making a video of how to reuse your feeding bags to get the most out of them, you know, and sharing that. And, you know, a few other things. So I think, you know, right now our main way of having people join is by Facebook, but we utilize those other platforms and share them to Facebook. And I guess probably because that's our generation. We're in our 40s, and, you know, Facebook is, but it's still a place that people go to. I mean, Facebook is still a very active. Obviously, you're utilizing Facebook to live stream, now. It's still a very good platform. And we have a capability of making it, Mattisa set up the page so that it could be a group where people can join, and it's private. And so it's a little more secure than you feel safer posting there and posting your questions. And who's there. We do a very good job of making sure that people answer those questions, and give us the information that we know we're letting safe people in to the group. It's a vulnerable population. We're all vulnerable, right? So, yeah.
No, I think that's great. Mrs. Moore, go ahead if you'd like to expand.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. Yeah, with the questions that Vera was talking about, we wanted to make sure that we were getting the families that we service that are in Alabama. They have to be a parent or a caregiver to a child with special health care needs. So we wanted to make sure that it was, like she said, a safe space for our friends and our families, to come in and to share that information, like resources, if they have any, they had questions, or even if we hope it's a safe enough space so that even if they're feeling stressed, they can come in and say that, like, sometimes we'll just post questions or post a little meme, like, don't forget to take care of yourself. And it's okay, to just joke around and just remember to be you too. We want to make sure that they were safe to vent and to share.
That's very important. I think having that community of supports there with you, being able to get together with people. And you guys said that a lot of most of the questions that are posted, there's almost always a response within, a day, I would say. And you guys do a very good job of that. Someone has a very specific question. You'll see an admin responding to that, or somebody from the group responding to that. So I think it's a great space, especially right now during this COVID and I don't want to say lockdown, but kind of pandemic thing. Where if you need something specific as a parent, as a family, this is a great place to post that question and connect with people. And I think you guys hit it on the head with Facebook too. We use Facebook a lot. And when I think about the space, I think about YouTube as learning. Like if I'm going to learn, something about streaming, I may go to YouTube and watch a tutorial. But when I think about family, I think about Facebook. I got that's where I share my photos with my family. That's where when I open Facebook, I expect to see friends and family, not learning. So I think you guys kind of hit it on the head there.
A community, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I didn't know that you guys also had additional resources on Instagram. So I'm going to have to check that out in the YouTube stuff as well. I have a question. What is the average age, would you say, of your community on the Facebook page?
It's a big age range, but most of our group so far, I looked it up, the largest part of our group is ages 35 to 44. So our age group, the second largest is 45 to 54.
Wow. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And Facebook is so good with giving you that type of stuff.
Yeah.
We noticed the same thing on Alabama Care as well.
Okay.
So the 35 to kind of 55 are the two major things there. I would like to go through chat really quick and just acknowledge some of the comments we're getting. Sarah Williams says, hi, Kylie and Vera. Kim Spangler, Kylie loves the spotlight. Sarah Williams, she makes me incredibly happy. Regina Moore, 3 hearts. A couple more hearts in the chat as well.
Okay, that's my sister, Regina. Regina, she's watching you.
Sarah.
And how many members?
Our youth consultant at Children's Rehabilitation Service. Sarah Williams is. So hi, Sarah.
And Sarah, I'd like to give a shout out. We're talking about doing a broadcast as well in December. So kind of doing it with a younger audience. I feel like I'm disconnected. I feel like as I get older, I don't know these hip words. I don't know what's going on. These kids, they talk in like all these cool words. I'm like, is that good or bad? And I think there's a community there that can connect over Facebook Live like this. And so we're going to be doing some things like that in December. And how many members are on your Facebook page?
I didn't check this morning before I got on. I don't know if Vera checked, but when I was on the November 19th, when I last looked, it was 564.
Yeah, and
No, I'm sorry,
that's
546. So I think we've grown a lot since I wrote that down.
And that's only in a few months. You guys have really exploded on the scene, and I think that speaks to the core of the necessity of the service you guys are providing in the community. Now, are you guys looking to grow this kind of outside, maybe do some get-togethers after the quarantine, after the pandemic? Or what does that look like kind of moving forward?
I hope so. We work with, as we said, we work with Family Voices of Alabama. So we usually host a Partners in Care Summit in Prattville at the Marriott there. So hopefully once things are safe again, at our conference, we can have some of our parents, or even hopefully all of them, to attend that usually 2-day conference. And there's family events there, sessions that we meet, and that's where it's like a family reunion there every year. Sometimes we meet people that we haven't seen from one year to the next. So hopefully that will be a space for these families to come meet other families in person, and providers, and grow their networks like we have.
I think that would be great. And are you guys doing kind of live events as well, like call-ins or anything like that?
We are starting to work on that. Hopefully we can get that rolling soon.
I'm trying to shout you guys out. I want people to know that they can connect with you in any which way.
Okay.
Yeah, we would love to. Hey, we might need you to do some tutorials to tell us how we can link this Zoom live to our Facebook Live, because we do have an account we can utilize for Zoom through Family Voices of Alabama that we just started, because I think a lot of us really had to embrace technology, you know, and different platforms when we all started working remotely. And so we've seen it whereas we really do like to meet in person. That's just our nature. That's how God designed us, right? But I do think that, you know, we really do want to start offering more of that, where Mattisa and I have that opportunity quite often with a lot of the work groups and things that we're on for, you know, things throughout the state and nationally. But we would like to start doing that and using that for, you know, on our Zoom. But we do have one that's coming up we would like to mention. It's going to be hosted by the parent consultants. Also, the Family Voices staff will also be on the call also, but it's a Zoom offered for families. The link is actually been shared on the Facebook page. It's called a Family Connect, and it's going to be a learning session with Brittany Huey from Alabama Lifespan Respite. And any family in the state of Alabama, caregiver, can join that. And so that'd be a great opportunity where, and again, it's always not just us, it's always different ways that you can connect families. And so that's just one way, you know, Mattisa and many of us parent supports and family do.
Yeah, I'm excited that you guys are doing that. I saw that link. I would like to ask, since the creation of the Facebook page, and I know you guys have been very involved in the community, but what is something that has surprised you, or that you didn't think that you'd find on the Facebook page? Something new that came about, you're like, that's interesting.
I don't know if this is the exact question you're asking, but this is how I'm interpreting it. There was a question, I think it was Miss Jennifer Terry posted it about utilizing your funds through your either living at home waiver or your ID waiver. And I had never had that question before. And so I don't have an answer, but I'm looking at the comments trying to, determine that. So that was one of those questions here recently that I wasn't familiar with, but that's just how I'm interpreting that. So
yeah, no, I didn't know. That's exactly what I was looking for. Is there anything that kind of caught you off guard that you're learning about as well? Ms. Moore, is there anything that comes to mind for you?
Not exactly, but what I've been amazed about is with the group is that even though I knew that there were families in the state dealing with some of the similar things that I am with raising my daughter, it's just further highlighted that, that the journey, it may seem a little tough, but it's not so different. And then just having someone to talk to and bounce ideas off of, that kind of helps to make it not as stressful. And, so it's just, I guess, being surprised at the supportive nature of our group. So
I would really say that as well. I'd stress that it's not always you guys that are providing answers. So it's not like someone's calling you and you're talking to them on the phone, giving them one-on-one answers. And I think that's really cool because the answer that is provided could help a lot of different people. And like I said, it's not just you two answering these questions. There's a lot of people answering these questions, which kind of reduces your workload and your stress there. As I know you two do a lot, but there's only so much time that you can give. You have family at home, you got to take care of yourself too. And so I think that you guys have that community that's really supportive. It's amazing to me. You guys are going to blow past the amount of followers that we have. We've been on Facebook for almost 2.5 years. You guys have been on for a couple of months. This is amazing to me. I'm trying to learn tips.
Hey, we're just thankful for you, Alex. I mean, I can't tell you how many broadcasts you've done. Hey, I even got a text from Sarah the other day saying, hey, are you watching this broadcast with, it was about election, and voting and things, those with disabilities voting. And so, yeah, we're just thankful how you're sharing broadly, many, many resources. Yeah.
Well, that's what we're here for. So we hope everybody utilizes it. We're loving to continue this year. I have a question that would be for somebody that was maybe 5 years your junior. What would you say to them? What would be some advice for them? This is a tough one. Mrs. Moore, go ahead.
Okay, I'll start. Just 5 years ago was an interesting time for me. With Kerstin, she had just had major surgery and had spent a month at Children's. So I would just say, just wherever they are in their journey, because they may just have a newly diagnosed child, maybe a baby or an older child that just got diagnosed. Just remember that your child is more than a diagnosis. Your child is your child. You are going to do good. You're going to do the best that you can for your child. And if you feel like you don't know which way to turn, our group is a place. Find someone that you can talk to that's supportive of you, and just love your child for who they are. That's my advice.
I think that was great.
Does this question, Mattisa, sometimes at different seasons in your life, it hits a little bit different?
It does. It does.
Like, I don't know, your head starts to spin almost. Matches you. Your head spins sometimes. I think so. Headaches. So this is how, okay, we joked in the beginning that Kylie and Kerstin are twins. They really are. And they like to, what we like to say is get a little bossy or cut up or be a little diva around the same time or very close. One may go before the other. And that, when I'm saying that, I'm meaning when they get sick. And so 5 years ago, Kylie also was coming out of a very long stay with lots of neurosurgeries, and there at Children's, and it had been a while for us since she had been that sick. So you get into that, like, especially for those of us where our kids were born with their disability. So it's been since birth. So it's not something that happened later in life. Those bring their own, sets of things. But I can remember it being a while, and I had gotten in this just kind of, I don't know, where I forget how they cope with, those times. What? And so if I'm talking to someone who is younger than me, I always want to, especially with us having young adults now, I remember those early years and being very, very, very in the moment and not thinking ahead to adulthood or life after high school or those things. And so we are always setting goals, right? And so for me, it would be to go back and really think about what's different opportunities mean. So going out to a restaurant, and I know things like that are hard now, or going and meeting with friends, or the play groups or the playground is all platform. She said Mexican. She loves Mexican. We love Mexican. Mexican. Yeah. But is that all of those things are laying the foundation for what you want in life. Not just what you want for your child, but also what you want for yourself. It's the family and the child and the whole entire, unit then. And so really thinking about that, what you want, and where you want to go, and what those positive, I'll always say it because it comes from the life course framework, but am I boring? I am. I know the life course trajectory, and that vision of a good life. And I think that vision, it's okay if that changes too. Yeah. Kylie had a really, really tough year last year. She had 21 brain surgeries in 2019. So I'm about to be able to say she had none in 2020, as crazy as 2020 has been. I know. Kylie and Kerstin was even in the hospital at the same time, different times last year. And we leaned on each other and visited, and our nurses knew that we were friends. It was really funny. But that it's okay if something in life happens and it changes that trajectory that you weren't planning for. So Kylie's health has changed things big time for her, yet we grieved for a moment, but then we regrouped. And we do that by really leaning on those people around us too, that will just listen, be an ear. And so I guess that's my advice, is to plan for the life you want, shoot big, dream. Don't let those scans and those things that they tell you that they won't do. She just told you Mexican. They said that she would never do any of this, right? And so be proactive instead of reactive, and choose joy.
And know that the lows are never as low as you think they are, and the highs are never as high as you think they are. So it'll go. And kind of on the opposite direction of that, what question do you both have now that you think someone 5 years your senior could help you with? Or what question would you pose to the Alabama Special Needs Parent Support Group? Is there anything that comes to mind there?
I'll go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mattisa.
No, I was just going to say, as they're both about to turn 19 in a few weeks, entering adulthood, I got some paperwork from Children's the other day when we were there for a visit, saying that it's time to start thinking about transitioning to adult health care. So just all of the, that would be my question for parents that have young adults, children that are over 19, like the steps that they took on transitioning with their child from pediatrics to adult health, and just adult things, just their steps.
I would like to say that I just came across a new program that's coming through UAB. I don't know if it's directly under USAID. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but it's bridging that gap from pediatrics to adult. From my understanding, there was something where at a certain age, you couldn't go to pediatrics. And then there was 10 doctors, and it was hard to go to all of them. So there's this new program they're coming out with to help bridge that gap. but I think that's coming out this year, and we're going to do a broadcast on it in the next month or two. So I hope that will help answer that question. Mrs. Spinks, is there anything that comes to mind for you?
Yes, so it's along the same lines, because again, we're in the same seasons, and we've been texting about it. But for us, we, to be able to help support Kylie in decisions such as health decisions, financial decisions, all of those other things, there are different platforms and ways to do that. You hear people talk about power of attorney or guardianship. We know for us, the decision is that we do not want to do guardianship. As you've seen, Kylie has lots of things she likes and doesn't like, and I don't want to take away. She has the ability to share her wants and needs. And so I don't want to be the one that has to make those decisions for her. So if she doesn't want to eat, I don't know, steak and potatoes tomorrow night, she can have Mexican. If she wants to, she gets to make that decision. So I know that sounds like, oh, what she eats, how's that relate to health decisions? It's big time, because she is really driving her health decisions right now in ways that she says she doesn't want any more surgeries. Surgery is the only way to continue to treat her diagnoses. And I agree with her. I wouldn't want 21 more surgeries when each one, we're very thankful for her doctors. If they tune in and they see this, I don't regret anything last year, but I think it is great to listen to the voice of the self-advocate and the patient. And so I would want to know, how do you set up least restrictive or less restrictive types of supported decision-making, and make sure you've got all the right ones. So that would be one question there that I had for those powers of attorneys, and which ones we needed that would go into play when we needed them. And then there was one more thing that I just thought of, Kylie. Maybe from some of the older ones, maybe when they're young adult or even younger kids, when you started seeing those changes, and them really not, it's a difference in saying, I don't want to get this shot, right? Or I don't want to go to the doctor today, or have my blood pressure taken. When you have a complex medical condition, there's a lot. So maybe how parents who encountered changing that trajectory again of where you're intervening, where you're doing some more things at home for comfort, how do they emotionally go through that? And things. So that would be my question. I'm sure there's been many that watch this that have gone through that, but I know my strength and hope is in Christ, but just how you navigate those changes as a family.
I appreciate you both sharing that. That's something, very family oriented, and we'll try and see if we can get a specific broadcast on for each one of those questions, and maybe share that back, and have you guys join for part of that, whatever that looks like. I think you said something really cool, both of you, is the the decision making for your daughters, and what do you want to eat that night, or what do you want, and I think that's really important, because that's a building block. And from way before this, they were a lot younger, but it gives them confidence in their decisions. They don't always have to look to somebody to say yes or no, and so I think what you guys are doing is helping them in long term. So if you're not there, they have more of a voice for themselves. So I applaud you guys for doing that. Well, as we kind of make through our questions here and kind of come to a close today, I'd like to open it up and see, is there anything that we really haven't talked about that you guys think is very important for the community to hear, and you think they would come away learning something from?
I would just go back to find someone to connect with, another parent that can truly say that they understand what you're going through, and someone that you can talk to. Like Vera and I text sometimes late at night, early in the mornings. We just bounce questions off of each other, because like we said, our daughters are on very similar trajectories. So we just find someone that you can talk to. That's the main thing, most important thing to me. Just having supports all around. I have my sisters around nearby. They're very supportive too. But they understand from helping me with Kerstin what I'm dealing with, and they help to give breaks and everything sometimes. But also another parent to talk to that has a child with a special health care need is very important for me.
I guess because it's something we are going through right now. Some people may watch this and not even know, and you know what? That's okay. But I think that there needs to be some type of a broadcast done that talks about hospice services, because I know that myself, because and let me back up, at Children's of Alabama, we actually were introduced to something called palliative care. And so so maybe even a joint broadcast, with palliative and hospice and home health and those different things. But palliative care really focuses on comfort and also bridging that gap to make sure that all of the specialties are working towards that same goal. And it really helps when you have complex cases or any case, but a lot of times you'll be referred to them. But palliative, when things started getting a little bit more challenging with Kylie, they introduced the thought of hospice. And of course, at first we turned it down because what do you think when you think hospice, Alex?
My grandfather, he went into hospice, and I think he had a week left at that point, and he passed away within that week.
Right. And so a lot of times it was explained to me, where you think about hospice, you think about it prolonging life, actually, sometimes. And so with Kylie not wanting surgeries, then how do we help her be comfortable? And we can't do that at home without going to the hospital. And then, it takes. So anyway, I would just like maybe an explanation of some of those different types of, because I know on a national level, we are talking about, and Mattisa has heard this too, about palliative care. And I think it's maybe been something that's utilized broadly in other states, maybe in other systems of care. And it's something that's not well known, and maybe introduced sometimes too late. It should be introduced earlier in life to help bring comfort. And I'm not saying comfort to end life. I'm saying palliative really does improve quality of life for the individual and the family. And so maybe some type of broadcast that explains those different members of a care team, and they usually jump on all our telehealth visits or come to our appointments with us, so that they're knowledgeable about decisions and they know what all the other doctors are doing too. So it's a really good team and value add there.
That's a new one for me. So I will work on doing one of those. I'll work on getting a broadcast together for palliative kind of home hospice services. And hopefully we can learn more, and I'll reach out to you guys for questions that you'd like asked. Before we do end here, I'd like to just go through chat. So if anybody has any additional questions, Kim Spangler says, would this group be interested in supporting a possible push for the return of partners in policymaking to our state? Now, I'm unfamiliar with partners in policymaking. So if you guys could give a little introduction to that.
I am a graduate of Partners in Policymaking. I went through that program in 2005, I think maybe 2006. It is like a statewide program that trained families, gave them information, resources on how to be an advocate. So I would like to think that Family Voices is similar to that, but we don't do like legislative trainings on all of that so much, but we give tips and resources on doing that. But I think we can start talking about that in the group and maybe advocate for that to return to Alabama, because it's needed. Because I think I was the last class to graduate from that program in 2006.
Yeah, and I've seen the online version, Mattisa, after our last summit that we were able to have in person. And gosh, what was she? what was she presenting on? I can't remember. My brain's gone blank. But partners in policy making came up several times. And I went and joined the online version of being able to go through the, partners in policy making and all that. And I can say it's challenging to do it on your own because there's a lot of material there and a lot of questions and answering. And I think that it would be better if we could get that group back together, even if it's virtually, to go through that program again, to once again bring up a generation of voices that knows how to really share the needs to impact policy and bring change.
Now, when you get the policy making, is that, speaking with legislators and going to that level?
Yes, because that it gives you resources. We even went to the State House to meet with some of the legislators and everything. So it was very valuable to go through that. So like Vera said, to impact policies that are affecting our families, our children, they need to actually hear from families and not just do it on their own and assume that it's going to work for us. And then we still have to advocate for changes. So
I didn't know that program existed. I think that's great. There are power in numbers and coming together as a community, and even being one-on-one with the legislators or group with them. That's powerful stuff. So I'd love to see that happen. Again.
And I always like to say too, yes, policy happens, at the the national level, legislative, Congress and all that, but it also happens at a very, very local level too. So think about the policies that are put in place, even in businesses right now. How have many of our families been impacted by some of the policies and procedures around COVID and accessing healthcare right now? And, when are our voices, at that table when they're thinking about maybe it sounds easy for one person, but they didn't have representation from someone else there, that it's really hard. I mean, I've sat here and prayed for my internet to work right good for this call, and phone calls, but just those policies. My husband had a surgery recently and he had to make multiple trips over 2.5 hours away in that 1 week and take off because of the way that testing for COVID had to be done before the surgery and who could do it and who couldn't. And so I think about those people that maybe not have that. So policy happens even at the most small local level in your churches or your restaurants, in different places. So yeah, still need.
I like how you say that, putting representation there. I like that use of that phrase. Janie Gable Curtis says, thank you for asking those questions. And I think Mrs. Curtis is saying about the questions that you would ask you 5 years your senior. Many of us are looking for those types of answers as well. So right along there with you. And as we kind of come to a close here, I am going to share once again my screen. I'm not going to scroll down so we won't get into the content, but I would like everybody to see what the Facebook page looks like. So you'll type in Alabama Special Needs Parent Support Group and you will ask to join. And then I think you have to be let into the group, like you guys said, by the administrators, and they are tough cookies, let me tell you. So you better give a good case. You're looking at them right now. So just know you might not get accepted, but yeah, you guys need to be on this. There's great community going on here, great communication. And I am going to keep an eye on how you guys continue to grow and take some pointers from you guys. And at this point, I'd just like to say thank you everybody for being on the call here with us today. Hopefully we'll do it again in the short future. And I wish you guys safe. What are you guys doing for Thanksgiving, if you don't mind me asking? I'm still up in the air about this.
Well, I'm still feeling a little nervous about it too, because we are having Thanksgiving with family. But when you think about family, you think about, your parents, and then you have in-laws. And so a lot of times for us, some of the family goes and has lunch earlier in the day with another part of their family, and then we have supper with our, that family. So that's a lot of different people when you think about it, even though, that night gathering is a smaller one, so I don't know. I'm trying to just think God's goodness and grace, and we'll wash our hands and 6 feet apart and be careful.
Yes. Same. We're I think we're more than likely gonna meet with my sisters, Kirsten's aunts. Try to keep it small as we have been doing, and just keep our distance, and maybe limit the time together and get on some FaceTime calls or Facebook groups or something and chat like that. So we're gonna try to stay as safe as possible.
Yeah, we're kind of doing the same thing. It's, we have about 4 of my family members that are in constant contact with each other. So there's not going to be much difference there, but we have another 4 that one's coming from Auburn, one's from Mobile, my mom and my brother. And then my aunt will be coming over with her caregiver. And I have direct contact with them, pretty much every day. So I'm not too worried about that, but we're going to do the same thing, washing, trying to keep social distance for that meal. But we're going to get together. So I think as long as we do be safe, we'll be okay.
And maybe pray for an unseasonably or seasonably for Alabama warm Thanksgiving, and we can be outside.
So yeah, that too. Yes.
Well, once again, thank you all for being here. And I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast at this point. If you guys would just like to give a quick wave to the community, and then we'll sign off.
Okay. Thank you all for joining us.
See you guys.